Should you live out your sexual fantasies? Hello, welcome to your channel. I hope you are doing well. Are you ready to learn more about fantasies? In this video, I will give you a definition of the concept fantasy, the difference between fantasies and desires, why fantasy is often accompanied by guilt, and finally, how to establish a peaceful dialogue with yourself to fully live your fantasies without feeling guilty. So, as an introduction, our psyche is a tireless producer of fantasies. Very often, we are baffled by its overflowing imagination. Most of them feed our eroticism and give it its colors. Sometimes some disturb us. Should they one day be realized? What will be the consequences? Definition of fantasy first. Our fantasies are built from past events that have left their mark on our psyche. They have left a trace: pleasure, pain, anxiety. These inscribe a certain version of our history in our unconscious, a motif, like on a printed tablecloth. It is this that fantasies reactualize. With psychoanalysis, we discovered that this unconscious motif is at work in many of our behaviors. Fantasy gives a form, a direction, and an object to our impulses. Indeed, the libido never remains unattached. It chooses an object and creates a special relationship with it. Our entire relationship to reality is imbued with libido. It is thus revisited by our fantasies, whether their content is openly sexual or not. In truth, on the unconscious level, we always live our fantasies. But it is our inner morality that forbids them from being acted out in concrete reality. Censorship. Fantasies or desires. In our sexual lives, many erotic stories cross our minds. Their content supports our desire. They allow us to broaden our modes of satisfaction at will. Very often, they allow us to experiment with situations contrary to our usual satisfactions. Thus, many fantasies are linked to psychic bisexuality. Be careful, I am not talking about sexual orientation here. They add the missing elements to our drive, masculine to feminine and vice versa, or activity and passivity. When we realize our desires, there are always others that will come to replace them, often by making them more complex. Thus, it is normal for new desires to appear. Some will come into conflict with our morals and our prohibitions because they go further than those that preceded them. Guilt. The more we advance in the realization of our desires, the more we have to go through moments of anxiety. Indeed, when satisfaction is deferred, it paves the way for anxiety and guilt. To satisfy our fantasies, we have to cross several barriers: morality, social prohibitions, family prohibitions. Each one brings its own symptoms: anxiety, shame, guilt. By agreeing to move these limits, we free our psyche from the obstacles that our development has placed. We abandon some blockages. However, we cannot renounce all constraints. Indeed, a large part of our pleasure comes from transgression. Without transgression, desire is diminished and bland, a dialogue with oneself. When we are confronted with our fantasies, we must negotiate between the thrust of our desire and the prohibitions it encounters. Each fantasy thus passes before several judges: internalized rules, the law, our ideal. If the expected and projected satisfaction exceeds these limits in energy, we do not struggle to cross them. Conversely, when faced with too much anxiety or guilt, we will give in to our imagination. When this choice is too difficult or causes intolerable suffering, it is important to be able to take stock of one's unconscious activity. Understanding the construction of one's fantasy often allows one to rearrange it so that it brings satisfaction without becoming an uncontrollable persecutor. The important thing is never to live all one's fantasies, but to know how to find an outlet for all the impulsive energy that accompanies them. Our video is coming to an end. Give me your opinion on the topics I cover. You will encourage me to develop them further for the benefit of all. And always in the text of the main theme of the channel, Secret Passions. Finally, know that I have not yet answered the question titled this video, namely, should we live our sexual fantasies? I leave this as a kind of debate. I hope that many of you will comment on the video and why not try, each in your own way, not to answer the question, but above all to approach it in a respectful and responsible cultural exchange. If you like this video, don't hesitate to like, comment and share this video with your friends, and above all, subscribe so you don't miss the next videos. So take care and see you soon.